Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his massive warship, looking at the hologram floating in front of him. The blue planet called Earth spun slowly in the display. It looked so small and harmless. He could not understand why the High Command had sent his entire fleet to deal with such a weak world. "Sir, we have finished studying the planet," said his second officer, Captain Veltar. "The beings there are very primitive. They have only basic rockets and simple weapons, no energy shields, no faster-than-light travel. Their strongest weapons use chemical explosives." Kethvar laughed. In his 40 years of military service, he had conquered hundreds of worlds for the Zephyrian supremacy. His fleet of 500 warships had destroyed entire star systems. Each of his ships was over 3 miles long and carried enough firepower to crack a planet in half. The humans had nothing that could even scratch the paint on his smallest vessel. "How boring," he said. "The Supremacy sends the 47th Conquest Fleet to deal with children playing with toys." The Zephyrian Supremacy ruled 40,000 star systems. For 500 years, they had been the strongest force in the galaxy. No species had ever defeated them in battle. Most worlds surrendered the moment they saw a Supremacy fleet. The few that fought back were crushed within hours. Kethvar walked to the main viewing screen. In the distance, he could see the other ships in his fleet. Massive dreadnoughts with weapons that could destroy cities. Fast attack cruisers that moved like deadly shadows. Support ships carrying enough troops to occupy a dozen worlds. The humans had never seen anything like this. "Sir, we are receiving radio signals from the planet," reported the communications officer. "They are trying to talk to us." "Put it on the main speakers," Kethvar ordered. A human voice filled the bridge. The words were strange and clumsy, but the translator made them clear. "Unknown vessels, this is Earth Defense Command. Please identify yourselves. We wish for peaceful contact." The bridge crew laughed. Earth Defense Command? What could they possibly defend against? Their strongest military units were metal vehicles that crawled on the ground. Their flying machines were slow and weak. They had no space warships at all. "Open a channel," Kethvar commanded. "This is Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Supremacy 47th Conquest Fleet. Your world is now under our control. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be quick." There was a long silence from Earth. Then the human voice spoke again. We don't understand. We want peace. Why are you threatening us?" Kethvar smiled. They were already begging. This would be easier than he thought. "Because you exist in space that belongs to the Supremacy. You will surrender your world and serve our empire, or we will destroy you. You have 1 hour to decide." He cut the transmission and turned to his officers. "Begin the intimidation display. I want every ship to charge their weapons. Let them see what real power looks like." Across the fleet, massive energy weapons began to glow. The ships moved into attack formation. Their hulls gleamed with deadly purpose. Any civilization would be terrified by such a display of force. But Admiral Kethvar did not know that humans had been watching the galaxy for much longer than anyone realized. Deep in hidden bases on Earth's moon and scattered through the asteroid belt, other humans were having very different conversations. Commander Sarah Chen sat in a control room buried deep beneath the lunar surface. Around her, dozens of technicians worked at advanced computer stations. The room hummed with energy from machines that the Supremacy would not understand. "Ma'am, the alien fleet has moved past Jupiter," reported Lieutenant Wong. "All ships are showing standard Zephyrian energy signatures. No unusual weapons or defenses." Chen nodded. For 50 years, humanity had been preparing for this day. They had found crashed alien ships and studied their technology. They had listened to Supremacy communications and learned about their empire. Most importantly, they had developed weapons and defenses that worked on principles the aliens had never imagined. "How many ships?" she asked. 500 capital ships, sir. Standard Supremacy Conquest Fleet." Chen almost felt sorry for them. The Zephyrians thought they were so advanced, so powerful. They believed their energy shields and plasma weapons made them unbeatable. They had no idea that human scientists had discovered how to manipulate the basic forces that held the universe together. "Begin Phase 1, she ordered. "Launch the sensor." Rockets. On Earth's surface, ancient chemical rockets lifted off from launch pads around the world. To any observer, they looked like desperate attempts to fight back with primitive weapons. The Zephyrian fleet barely noticed them, but these rockets carried no weapons. Instead, they held the most advanced scanning equipment humans had ever built. As they flew toward the alien fleet, they mapped every ship, analyzed every energy pattern, and identified every weakness. The data flowed back to Chen's command center in seconds. Quantum computers processed the information and created detailed battle plans. Every Zephyrian ship now had a target painted on it by weapons they could not detect. "Ma'am, Admiral Harrison is requesting permission to make contact," said Wong. Chen smiled. It was time for the aliens to meet the real human military. "Patch him through." On the main screen, Admiral Harrison appeared. He was an older man with gray hair and cold eyes. Behind him, Chen could see the bridge of humanity's most advanced warship. The Zephyrians had no idea it existed. "This is Admiral Harrison of the Terran Defense Fleet," he said in a calm voice. "Commander Chen, are we ready?" "All weapon platforms are online, sir. Dark matter cannons are charged. Quantum torpedo bays are loaded. Gravitational distortion fields are active." Harrison nodded. "Then let's introduce ourselves to our guests." Back on the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Kethvar was growing impatient. The human rockets had flown past his fleet without attacking. They seemed to be heading toward the outer planets, probably trying to run away. "Sir, we are receiving another transmission from Earth," said the communications officer. "Put it on screen." This time, instead of a frightened human voice, a clear image appeared. A human in a military uniform stood on what was clearly the bridge of a warship. Behind him, advanced technology gleamed. "This is Admiral Harrison of the Terran Defense Fleet," the human said. "You have entered our system without permission. You have threatened our world. You have one chance to leave peacefully." Kethvar stared at the image. The background looked like the bridge of an advanced starship, but that was impossible. The humans had no such technology. "This is some kind of trick," he said to his officers. "They are trying to fool us with fake images." But as he spoke, his sensor officer's face went pale. "Sir, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. They're everywhere." Kethvar looked at his sensors. For the first time in his career, he felt a cold touch of fear. The energy readings were impossible. Nothing should be able to generate that much power without being detected. "Where are these readings coming from?" he demanded. "Unknown, sir. The sources are hidden somehow. Our sensors can't get a clear lock." Admiral Harrison's voice continued from the communication screen. "You have 10 seconds to begin your withdrawal. After that, we will consider you a hostile force." Kethavar's pride would not let him back down. "You dare threaten the supremacy? We have 500 warships. You have nothing but empty words." Harrison looked sad. "Then you have made your choice." The transmission ended. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then every alarm on the Zephyrian flagship began to scream at once. The Zephyrian fleet moved closer to Earth like a pack of metal wolves. Admiral Kethvar watched the blue planet grow larger on his screens. Soon his ships would be close enough to demonstrate their power. A few destroyed cities would make the humans understand their situation. "Sir, the human rockets are still flying toward the outer planets," reported his tactical officer. "Should we destroy them?" Kethvar waved his hand dismissively. "Let them run. Those pathetic chemical rockets cannot hurt us. Focus on the planet. I want to see their military installations." What the Admiral did not know was that those rockets were not running away. They were taking very detailed pictures of his entire fleet. Advanced cameras and sensors built by human scientists recorded everything about the Zephyrian ships. Their size, their weapons, their shield frequencies, even the way their engines worked. Deep inside a hidden base on the far side of Earth's moon, Commander Sarah Chen watched the data flow across her screens. The information was being processed by quantum computers that could think faster than any biological brain. "Target analysis complete," announced Dr. Martinez, the chief scientist. "We have identified the command structure of their fleet. The largest ship in the center is their flagship. If we remove it first, the others will be confused." Chen nodded. The plan was working perfectly. For decades, humans had studied every piece of alien technology they could find. Crashed ships, broken equipment, even intercepted communications had taught them about supremacy technology. The aliens used energy shields and plasma weapons. They were powerful, but they followed rules that humans had learned to break. "What about their defenses?" Chen asked. "Standard energy barriers," replied Dr. Martinez. "They protect against heat, radiation, and kinetic impacts. But they cannot stop our dark matter weapons. Their shields work by deflecting energy and matter. Dark matter passes right through." Chen smiled. The Zephyrians thought they understood physics. They had built their empire using the same basic technologies for centuries. But humans had discovered things that went beyond normal matter and energy. They had learned to use the invisible forces that held galaxies together. "Status report on our weapon platforms," she ordered. Lieutenant Wong checked his displays. "All dark matter cannons are online and targeted. Quantum torpedo launchers are loaded and ready. Gravitational distortion generators are spinning up to full power." The weapon platforms were hidden throughout the solar system. Some were built inside asteroids that looked like ordinary rocks. Others were concealed in the shadows of planets and moons. A few were actually invisible, using technology that bent light around them. Each platform carried weapons that could destroy entire fleets. The dark matter cannons fired streams of invisible particles that could pass through any known shield. When these particles hit normal matter, they caused it to simply disappear. Not explode, not melt, just cease to exist. The quantum torpedoes were even more deadly. They traveled through folded space, appearing directly inside enemy ships without having to cross the distance between. Each torpedo contained enough antimatter to destroy a city, but the most terrifying weapons were the gravitational distortion generators. These machines could make gravity itself into a weapon. They could create black holes, crush ships with invisible force, or tear them apart with gravitational waves. "Ma'am, Admiral Harrison is ready to make contact," reported the communications officer. Chen looked at the main screen. The Zephyrian fleet was now passing Mars. They would be in Earth's orbital space within hours. It was time to give them one. Last chance. "Connect me to Admiral Harrison." The screen showed the bridge of the TDS Prometheus, humanity's most advanced warship. Admiral Harrison stood at the command station, his gray hair neat and his uniform crisp. Behind him, his crew worked. At stations filled with technology the Supremacy had never seen. "Commander Chen, are your people ready?" Harrison asked. "All weapon platforms report ready, sir. We can engage at your command." Harrison looked sad. "I had hoped they would be more reasonable. Send the warning." The transmission beam reached the Zephyrian flagship in seconds. Admiral Kethvar saw a human in a military uniform appear on his main screen. The background showed the bridge of what looked like an advanced starship, but that had to be fake. The humans could not have built such technology. "This is Admiral Harrison of the Terran Defense Fleet," the human said. "You have entered our system without permission. You have threatened our world. You have one chance to leave peacefully." Kethvar laughed. "Terran Defense Fleet? You mean those rockets we saw flying away? This is obviously some kind of recording made in a fake room. You cannot fool us with lies." But even as he spoke, his sensor operators were reporting strange readings. Energy signatures were appearing all over the system. Massive amounts of power were being generated by sources they could not identify. "Sir, these readings don't match any known technology," reported his chief scientist. "The power levels are impossible. Nothing should be able to generate this much energy without massive installations." Kethvar ignored the reports. His pride would not let him believe that primitive humans could threaten the mighty supremacy. "Continue the advance. Prepare to demonstrate our power." On the communication screen, Admiral Harrison continued speaking. "You have 10 seconds to begin your withdrawal. After that, we will consider you a hostile force." "You dare threaten the supremacy?" Kethvar shouted. "We have 500 warships. You have nothing but empty words." Harrison's expression grew sad. "Then you have made your choice." The transmission ended. For a moment, the bridge of the Zephyrian flagship was quiet. Then every alarm began to sound at once. "Sir! Massive energy spike detected!" screamed the sensor operator. "Multiple contacts appearing throughout the system." On the tactical display, red dots began appearing everywhere. Hundreds of them, surrounding the Zephyrian fleet from all directions. Each dot represented a weapon platform more advanced than anything the Supremacy had ever built. "Where did they come from?" Kethvar demanded. "Unknown, sir. They seem to have been hidden somehow. Our sensors showed nothing there before." Kethvar stared at the display in growing horror. The red dots were not just scattered randomly. They formed a perfect sphere around his fleet. Every ship was targeted by multiple platforms. There was no escape route. "How many?" he whispered. "Over 300 weapon platforms, sir, and they're all pointed at us." For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Kethvar felt true fear. The humans had not been running away. They had been setting a trap, and he had flown his entire fleet right into it. "Emergency signals to all ships," he ordered. "Maximum shields. Prepare for combat." But deep in his heart, he already knew it was too late. The humans had been planning this for much longer than anyone had realized. They had studied supremacy, technology, and built weapons specifically designed to defeat it. The trap was set, and there was nowhere to run. "Sir, incoming transmission from the human admiral," reported the communications officer. Harrison's face appeared on screen once more. This time there was no sadness in his eyes, only cold determination. "Admiral Kethvar, you had your chance. Now you will learn why Earth has remained unconquered." The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, every person on the bridge could hear their own heartbeat. Outside, 300 hidden weapons turned toward the Zephyrian fleet. The battle was about to begin, and it would be over in seconds. The battle lasted exactly 4.7 seconds. Admiral Kethvar had time to see the first flash of light before his universe ended. Across space, hundreds of hidden weapon platforms fired at once, but these were not the energy beams or missiles that the Supremacy understood. These were weapons that worked on the deepest levels of reality itself. Dark matter cannons released streams of invisible particles that passed through the Zephyrian shields like they were not there. The shields had been designed to stop energy and normal matter. They could deflect plasma beams and kinetic projectiles. But dark matter was different. It barely interacted with normal matter at all, until human scientists had learned to control it. When the dark matter streams hit the alien ships, something terrible happened. The particles disrupted the bonds that held atoms together. Metal hulls simply ceased to exist. Not melted, not vaporized, but deleted from reality. Entire sections of ships disappeared, leaving perfect spherical holes where armor plating had been. The Supremacy's mighty dreadnoughts, each 3 miles long and carrying thousands of crew members, began to vanish piece by piece. Their massive hulls developed holes that grew larger with each second. Air rushed out into space, carrying screaming aliens with it. But the dark matter cannons were only the beginning. Quantum torpedo launchers fired their deadly cargo through folded space. The torpedoes did not travel from the weapon platforms to their targets. Instead, they simply appeared inside the enemy ships, bypassing all shields and armor. Each torpedo contained enough antimatter to power a small city or destroy a large building. When antimatter met normal matter inside the Zephyrian ships, the results were devastating. Pure energy explosions tore through vital systems. Engine rooms became blazing infernos. Command bridges filled with lethal radiation. Ships that had conquered worlds across the galaxy were gutted from the inside in seconds. Admiral Kethvar watched, his fleet die around him. The ship next to his flagship, a massive battlecruiser called the Eternal Victory, simply folded in on itself as gravitational weapons twisted space around it. The ship's hull crumpled like paper as artificial gravity fields compressed it into a ball of scrap metal. "Shields! Maximum power to shields!" he screamed. "Sir, our shields are at full power, but they're not stopping anything," replied his defensive systems officer. "These weapons are passing right through our barriers." The admiral stared at his tactical display in horror. Red symbols showed his ships being destroyed faster than the computer could update. 500 warships reduced to debris in seconds. His entire fleet, the pride of the supremacy, was being erased from existence. "How is this possible?" he whispered. His chief scientist, an old Zephyrian named Velthok, looked up from his readings with wide eyes. "Sir, these humans, they're using weapons that operate outside normal physics. They're manipulating fundamental forces that we barely understand." A gravitational wave hit the flagship, shaking the massive ship like a toy. The artificial gravity inside flickered, making everyone float for a moment before slamming back down. Warning lights flashed as the ship's structure groaned under impossible stresses. "Sir, hull breach on decks 12 through 30, reported damage control. "We're losing atmosphere on 15 levels." Kethvar felt his world collapsing around him. In 40 years of military service, he had never seen anything like this. The humans had weapons that made his most advanced technology look like stone tools. They had studied the supremacy's weaknesses and built weapons specifically designed to exploit them. "Emergency transmission to Supremacy Command," he ordered. Tell them we were wrong about the humans." But even as he spoke, he knew the message would never be sent. A quantum torpedo had materialized inside the ship's communication center, destroying all long-range transmitters. The flagship was cut off from the rest of the galaxy. Another gravitational wave hit the ship, this one stronger than the first. The hull began to crack along stress lines. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut as entire sections were exposed to space. The ship that had been his pride and home for 20 years was dying around him. "Sir, we've lost main power," shouted the engineering officer. "Life support is failing. We have maybe 10 minutes of air left." 10 minutes. The admiral looked at his tactical display one more time. Of his 500 ships, only a handful remained, and they were dying fast. The humans had achieved something that should have been impossible. They had destroyed an entire supremacy fleet without losing a single ship of their own. "Sir, incoming transmission," reported the communications officer, his voice shaking. Admiral Harrison appeared on the main screen. Behind him, his bridge was calm and quiet. No damage, no casualties, no signs of battle at all. He looked at Kethvar with something that might have been pity. "Admiral, your fleet is finished," Harrison said calmly. "But you still live. I offer you this chance to send a message to your empire. Tell them what happened here. Tell them why they should leave Earth alone." Kethvar felt his pride crumble. This human admiral was offering him mercy, even after destroying everything he commanded. But what message could he send? Who would believe that primitive humans had annihilated the 47th Conquest Fleet? They will not believe," he said weakly. "Then make them believe," Harrison replied. "Your people need to understand that humanity is not their enemy. But we will not be their victims either." Tell them to find another path. The transmission ended. Around Kethvar, his flagship continued to die. Systems failed one by one. The lights dimmed as power ran out. In the distance, he could see the last few ships of his fleet being destroyed by weapons that should not exist. With trembling hands, he activated the emergency beacon. It was a simple device, designed to record a final message if a ship was about to be destroyed. The message would be found eventually by supremacy search teams. "This is Admiral Kethvar of the 47th Conquest Fleet," he said into the recorder. "We came to conquer a primitive world called Earth. We were wrong. These humans, they are not primitives. They are something far more dangerous. They have weapons that can destroy matter itself. They can bend gravity like we bend metal. They can make their attacks appear inside our ships." He paused as another section of the ship was torn away by gravitational forces. Through the gap, he could see Earth in the distance, still blue and peaceful. "The fleet is destroyed, all ships lost. The humans defeated us in seconds. Tell the Emperor. Tell him these beings are not to be underestimated. They are predators disguised as prey. Approach them with respect, or do not approach them at all." The recording device shut down as the ship's power finally failed. In the darkness, Admiral Kethvar waited for the end. Around him, the last remnants of the 47th Conquest Fleet drifted as silent debris. The battle was over. The mighty supremacy had learned a lesson that would echo across the galaxy. Humanity was no longer hiding. Far away on Earth, Admiral Harrison stood on his bridge watching the last enemy ship break apart. His crew worked quietly at their stations, already beginning the cleanup operations. Automated systems would collect the debris and ensure that no alien technology fell into the wrong hands. "Sir, all enemy vessels destroyed," reported his tactical officer. "No survivors detected." Harrison nodded sadly. He had hoped it would not come to this. But the supremacy had chosen the path of conquest, and humanity had chosen the path of survival. "Send word to Earth Command," he ordered. "The threat is eliminated. Begin Phase 2 of the contingency plan." Phase 2 would ensure that this victory was not just a single battle, but the beginning of a new era. The galaxy would learn that Earth was protected by more than just luck. The age of human hiding was over. The age of human guardianship had begun. Emperor Zalthek sat on his crystal throne in the heart of the supremacy's capital world. The massive chamber around him was filled with his most trusted advisors, military commanders, and scientists. But today, the usual confident voices were replaced by worried whispers and frightened silence. On the hologram table in front of them, the impossible played over and over again. The brief recording from Admiral Kethvar's flagship showed the 47th Conquest Fleet being destroyed in seconds. 500 of the supremacy's finest warships simply erased from existence by weapons that should not work. "Play it again," the Emperor commanded, his voice echoing through the chamber. The hologram showed the same horrifying scene. Ships disappearing piece by piece as invisible forces tore them apart. Gravitational waves crushing massive hulls like paper. Explosions appearing. Inside vessels without any projectiles crossing space. In 4.7 seconds, an entire conquest fleet was reduced to drifting debris. General Mordan, the supremacy's highest military commander, stood with his head bowed. "Your Majesty, we have confirmed the destruction. Search teams found the debris field exactly where Admiral Kethvar reported. No survivors, no intact technology to study." Emperor Zalthek had ruled the supremacy for over a century. In that time, his forces had conquered thousands of worlds. No species had ever defeated them in open battle. Some had surrendered quickly, others had fought bravely but futilely. A few had hidden or run away. But none had ever achieved total victory against a supremacy fleet. Until now. "How?" the Emperor asked. "How did these humans do this?" Chief Scientist Velmore stepped forward, his multiple arms gesturing at data displays. Your Majesty, we have analyzed the limited recordings. The humans appear to have weaponized fundamental forces that we consider impossible to control. Dark matter manipulation, gravitational distortion, quantum tunneling effects. Are you telling me that these primitives have mastered sciences that our greatest minds consider theoretical? It appears so, Your Majesty. Their weapons operate on principles that bypass all known defensive technologies. Our shields, our armor, our electronic countermeasures. None of them can stop attacks that work at the subatomic level. Emperor Zalthek stood from his throne, his tall form casting shadows across the chamber. For 500 years, the supremacy had grown by conquest. They found weaker species and absorbed them into the empire. It was simple, efficient, and profitable. But these humans had changed everything. What do our intelligence services know about this species? He demanded. Intelligence Director Colwen activated a new hologram. Images of Earth appeared, showing cities, military bases, and space installations. Our previous reports indicated a primitive civilization with basic technology. Chemical rockets, nuclear weapons, simple electronics. We detected no energy shields, no advanced alloys, no faster-than-light capability. Then where did these weapons come from? Unknown, Your Majesty. Either our intelligence was completely wrong, or these humans have been hiding their true capabilities for decades. Possibly centuries. The Emperor felt a chill run through his body. If the humans had been hiding advanced technology, what else might they have concealed? How many other species in the galaxy possessed secret weapons that could destroy supremacy fleets? Sir, we have another problem, General Morden said quietly. Word of the defeat is spreading throughout the Empire. Our subject species are beginning to ask questions. Emperor Zalthek understood immediately. The supremacy ruled through fear and the belief that resistance was impossible. If species learned that the mighty supremacy could be defeated, rebellions would start everywhere. How bad is it? He asked. 12 worlds have stopped sending tribute shipments. 6 colonial governors report increasing unrest. 3 star systems have gone completely silent. As if summoned by their conversation, an aide rushed into the chamber. Your Majesty, urgent message from the Outer Rim territories. The Cathari system has declared independence. They are refusing all supremacy authority. The Emperor closed his eyes. The Cathari were a proud species that had been conquered only 50 years ago. They had never fully accepted supremacy rule, and now they saw an opportunity. What did they say exactly? He asked. The aide read from a data pad. Earth endures. The supremacy bleeds. Freedom is possible. That was their entire message. Your Majesty. Emperor Zalthek felt his empire beginning to crack. The humans had not just destroyed a fleet. They had destroyed the myth of supremacy invincibility. Across the galaxy, species that had been forced into submission were remembering what freedom meant. Your Majesty, Intelligence Director Colwen spoke up. We have detected encrypted transmissions being sent to multiple star systems. The source appears to be somewhere in Earth's solar system. What kind of transmissions? Video recordings of the battle, along with messages encouraging resistance. The humans are actively spreading word of their victory. General Morden stepped forward. Your Majesty, we must respond with force. If we allow this challenge to go unanswered, the entire empire could collapse. I recommend immediate mobilization of the 1st and 2nd Imperial fleets. To do what? The Emperor snapped. Send more ships to be destroyed by weapons we don't. Understand? How many fleets are you willing to lose before you admit we are outmatched? The chamber fell silent. No one in the Supremacy's leadership had ever heard their Emperor admit weakness before. Chief Scientist Velmore cleared his throat, nervously. Your Majesty, perhaps we should consider diplomatic contact. Diplomacy? General Morden snarled. The Supremacy does not negotiate with inferior species. Are they inferior? Velmore asked quietly. They destroyed our fleet in seconds. They possess technology we cannot match. By what measure are they inferior to us? Emperor Zalthek returned to his throne, suddenly feeling very old. The weight of 5 centuries of conquest pressed down on him. The supremacy had grown powerful by being the strongest force in every conflict. But what happened when they met someone stronger? Show me the human admiral's message again, he commanded. The hologram displayed Admiral Harrison's final transmission to Admiral Kethvar. The human looked calm and controlled, even while destroying an entire fleet. His words were simple and direct. Tell them what happened here. Tell them why they should leave Earth alone. He offered mercy, the Emperor realized. Even after winning completely, he let our Admiral send a warning message. Yes, Your Majesty, Intelligence Director Colwen confirmed. The humans could have destroyed the flagship immediately. Instead, they gave Admiral Kethvar time to record his final report. Emperor Zalthek studied the human admiral's face. There was no hatred there, no desire for conquest, only a quiet determination to protect his people. It was not the expression of a bloodthirsty warrior, but of a guardian. They are not like us, he said slowly. They did not attack our worlds or demand our surrender. They simply defended their own territory. Your Majesty, General Mordan protested. They are still a threat to the Empire. No, the Emperor said firmly. We are a threat to them, and they have made it clear what happens to threats. For the first time in centuries, Emperor Zalthek faced a choice that could not be solved by force. He could escalate the conflict and risk losing everything, or he could try something the supremacy had never done before. He could admit that someone else was stronger. Prepare a diplomatic vessel, he ordered. Send envoys to Earth. It is time the supremacy learned to negotiate. The chamber erupted in shocked voices, but the Emperor raised his hand for silence. Across the galaxy, rebellions were spreading as species learned that the supremacy could be defeated. The old way of ruling through fear was ending. A new age was beginning, whether the supremacy was ready or not. And at the center of it all, a small blue planet called Earth waited to see what the galaxy would choose: cooperation or destruction. 6 months after the destruction of the 47th Conquest Fleet, a single Zephyrian vessel approached Earth's solar system. Unlike the massive warships that had come before, this ship was small and elegant, painted in the white and gold colors of diplomacy. It carried no weapons, only a message of peace and a request to talk. Admiral Harrison stood on the observation deck of Sanctuary Station, a massive space facility that humans had built in the asteroid belt. Through the transparent walls, he could see the diplomatic ship approaching slowly, its engines barely glowing. Behind him, representatives from 12 different alien species waited nervously for the negotiations to begin. These aliens were not enemies. They were former subjects of the supremacy who had declared independence after learning of humanity's victory. The Cathari, with their proud warrior culture. The gentle Vorthak, who had been enslaved for 3 centuries. The insectoid Gelti, whose homeworld had been strip-mined for resources. All of them had come to Earth seeking protection and alliance. Admiral, the supremacy vessel is requesting permission to dock, reported Captain Morrison, Harrison's aide. Grant permission, Harrison replied, but maintain full security protocols. I want every sensor watching them. The diplomatic meeting would take place in a neutral chamber designed specifically for interspecies contact. The room had adjustable gravity, atmospheric controls, and translation systems that could handle dozens of languages. Most importantly, it was surrounded by the same defensive systems that had destroyed the Conquest Fleet. Ambassador Velkoth of the Supremacy entered the chamber with a small group of advisors. He was a tall, elegant being with silver skin and multiple arms, dressed in robes that marked his high rank. But his usual proud bearing was replaced by careful humility. He had seen the recordings of what happened to warships that threatened Earth. Admiral Harrison greeted him with formal courtesy. Ambassador, welcome to human space. I hope we can find a peaceful solution to our differences. Velkoth bowed deeply, a gesture that would have been unthinkable from a supremacy representative just months ago. Admiral Harrison, I bring greetings from Emperor Zaltek and the sincere desire for peace between our peoples. The negotiations took place over several days. The supremacy had prepared carefully, studying everything they could learn about human culture and psychology. They had come not as conquerors, but as petitioners seeking to avoid further conflict. Let me be clear about our position, Harrison said during the first formal session. Humanity does not seek to conquer or rule other species. We want to be left alone to develop in peace. But we will not tolerate threats to Earth or attacks on defenseless civilizations. Ambassador Velkoth nodded carefully. We understand your position, Admiral. The Emperor has authorized me to discuss significant concessions to ensure peaceful coexistence. The talks were complex and sometimes heated. The supremacy was being forced to give up systems they had controlled for centuries. 12 star systems would be granted full independence under human protection. Enslaved species would be freed. Tribute payments would end. But the most important agreement was the establishment of protected zones throughout the galaxy. These would be regions of space where younger civilizations could develop without interference from advanced species. Any attempt to conquer or exploit these worlds would be met by human intervention. You are asking us to abandon the principles that built our empire, Velkoth said during one difficult session. We are asking you to evolve beyond them, Harrison replied firmly. The age of conquest is ending. Species that adapt to cooperation will prosper. Those that cling to domination will face the consequences. To demonstrate their commitment, the humans shared some of their defensive technologies with the freed species. Not the most advanced weapons, but shield designs and detection, systems that could protect against most threats. It was a clear message. Earth would help those who chose freedom over submission. The final signing ceremony took place on Sanctuary Station, with representatives from dozens of species present. Ambassador Velkoth and Admiral Harrison stood at the center of the chamber, surrounded by beings who had once been enemies or subjects of the supremacy. Today marks the beginning of a new era, Harrison announced to the assembled crowd. No longer will the galaxy be ruled by fear and conquest. From this day forward, every species has the right to choose its own path. The treaty was officially called the Terran Accords, but history would remember it as the document that ended the Age of Empires. The supremacy would remain a major power, but they could no longer expand through force. Other species gained the protection they needed to govern themselves, but the real change went deeper than any written agreement. The defeat of the 47th Conquest Fleet had shattered the belief that advanced technology guaranteed victory. Species across the galaxy began to question their relationships with more powerful neighbors. Some sought independence, others formed new alliances based on mutual benefit rather than domination. Commander Sarah Chen, now promoted to Admiral, oversaw the expansion of humanity's Guardian Fleet. New ships were built using the most advanced technology Earth could produce. They patrolled the protected zones, ensuring that the treaties were enforced and that peaceful species could develop without fear. The supremacy tested the new boundaries several times in the first year. Each time, human ships appeared to enforce the agreements. The aliens learned quickly that humanity's commitment to protection was absolute. No conquered species would face extinction while Earth endured. Other major powers in the galaxy watched these developments with growing concern. The hegemony, the collective, and the Star Republic all realized that the balance of power had shifted permanently. None of them wanted to test humanity's defenses directly, but they began their own preparations for a changed galaxy. 5 years after the battle, Admiral Harrison stood once again on Sanctuary Station's observation deck. But now, instead of looking at a single diplomatic ship, he watched a massive spaceport filled with vessels from hundreds of species. Traders, diplomats, scientists, and refugees all came to human space seeking opportunity and protection. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Andromeda expedition," reported his communications officer. Harrison smiled. The expedition was humanity's first attempt to explore beyond the Milky Way galaxy. With their local region secured, humans were ready to discover what lay beyond the stars they knew. "Put it through," he ordered. The transmission showed Commander Kim aboard the exploration ship TDS Pioneer. Behind her, unknown stars gleamed through the viewports of humanity's most advanced vessel. "Admiral, we have made contact with 3 new civilizations in the Andromeda galaxy," Kim reported. "All of them are peaceful and interested in trade and cultural exchange. No signs of hostile empires or conquest fleets." Harrison nodded with satisfaction. The galaxy was vast, and there was always room for growth and discovery. But now that growth would happen through cooperation rather than conquest. The age of empires was ending, replaced by an age of alliance and mutual support. In the years that followed, the protected zones became centers of innovation and prosperity. Species that had been held back by supremacy rule began to flourish. New technologies were developed through cooperation between multiple civilizations. Art, literature, and scientific knowledge flowed freely between worlds. The supremacy itself began to change. Younger generations of Zephyrians questioned the old ways of conquest and domination. Reform movements gained power in their government. Some supremacy worlds even applied to join the protected zone system, seeking the prosperity that came with peaceful cooperation. Admiral Harrison, now elderly but still sharp, often reflected on how the galaxy had changed. The humans had never wanted to be galactic guardians. They had simply wanted to be left alone. But when forced to defend themselves, they had discovered that protection required vigilance and strength. The warning that Admiral Kethvar had tried to send to his empire had proven true in ways he never expected. Humanity was indeed predators, disguised as prey. But they were a very specific type of predator, one that hunted those who threatened the innocent and protected those who could not protect themselves. Earth's blue skies still looked peaceful from space, but now they were watched over by guardian fleets that ensured no species would ever again face the choice between submission and extinction. The galaxy had learned its lesson, and those who remembered would ensure it was never forgotten. The age of human hiding was over. The age of human guardianship would last as long as threats remained in the darkness between the stars. And in that darkness, other predators watched and waited, planning their own moves in the endless game of galactic power. But that would be a story for another day.
Lisa Gordon stared at the screen in front of her. The numbers didn't make sense. She rubbed her tired eyes and looked again. For the past 3 nights, she had stayed late at NASA's Deep Space Tracking Station, following a strange pattern she had noticed. Now she was sure. "Someone call the director," she said to the nearly empty room. "We're not alone." At first, no one took her seriously. Strange signals happened all the time. Usually, they turned out to be equipment errors or known space objects moving in unusual ways, but Lisa was different. In her 15 years at NASA, she had never raised a false alarm. Director Frank Murray arrived an hour later, his face showing both sleep deprivation and concern. "Show me," he said simply. Lisa pointed to her screen. "These radiation patterns are artificial. They're moving too precisely, slowing down in a controlled manner, and they're headed directly toward us." Frank studied the data, then made a call. Within 24 hours, every major space agency on Earth confirmed Lisa's discovery. Something was approaching Earth from deep space, slowing down in a way that natural objects never could. The United Earth Defense Council met in emergency session 3 days later. Admiral Alan Carter, who had led Earth's combined space forces for 8 years, stood before the world's leaders. "We are tracking 7 large objects approaching Earth," he said calmly, though his eyes revealed his concern. "Their technology appears far beyond our own. They will reach Earth orbit in approximately 12 days. The room erupted in questions and concerns. After order was restored, President Susan Bailey asked the question everyone feared. Are they hostile? Admiral Carter answered honestly. We don't know, but we're preparing as if they might be. Earth had never faced a true alien threat before. There had been strange signals over the years, even a few unexplained sightings, but nothing confirmed. Now humanity had less than 2 weeks to prepare for its first contact with an alien civilization. Teams worked around the clock. Military forces were placed on high alert. The public was informed in careful stages to prevent panic. Some did panic anyway. Religious groups declared the end times. Others celebrated what they hoped would be humanity's welcome into a peaceful, galactic community. Lisa Gordon was assigned to lead the scientific team analyzing the approaching vessels. They're slowing down in Earth orbit, she reported on day 11. The largest ship has changed course and will enter our atmosphere tomorrow, Admiral. Carter ordered defensive systems ready but not active. We show them we're prepared, but we don't make the first aggressive move, he told his officers. The next day, the alien ship hovered above the United Nations building in New York. It was enormous, at least 3 times larger than Earth's biggest aircraft carrier. It glowed with a faint blue light and made almost no sound. Millions watched on screens around the world as a smaller craft detached and descended to the specially prepared landing area. The craft opened, and they saw aliens, for the first time. They looked almost insect-like, walking on 4 legs with 2 arm-like limbs. Their skin was pale blue, and they wore what appeared to be ceremonial armor. Their leader stepped forward. I am High Emissary Zartul of the Galactic Empire, it said, in perfect English. The voice was mechanical, clearly translated by some advanced technology. We bring integration into the galactic community. President Bailey stepped forward. We welcome you to Earth. I am Susan Bailey, representing the United Earth Alliance. The alien seemed to study her. We request immediate conference with your leaders to discuss terms of planetary acquisition. Those words sent a chill through everyone present. Acquisition. At the temporary diplomatic center established for the aliens, Admiral Carter watched as translator Samantha Mason worked. She had been analyzing the aliens' own language, which their translation devices occasionally used among themselves. Sir, she said quietly to Carter, their words don't match their actual communication. When they say integration, their own word is closer to assimilation or absorption. Carter's expression darkened. Keep listening, he said. 3 days later, a meeting was arranged aboard the neutral space station Harmony, orbiting Earth. Admiral Carter, President Bailey, and Dr. Gordon represented Earth. High Emissary Zartul brought 3 Imperial officials. Let us speak plainly, Zartul said once formalities were complete. Your world has been catalogued as Resource Planet E3271. The Empire claims all resource planets as Imperial property. President Bailey leaned forward. Earth belongs to humanity. We are a sovereign people. The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. Sovereignty is recognized only for civilizations with interstellar capabilities. You have barely reached your own moon. What exactly are you proposing? Admiral Carter asked, keeping his voice level. Earth will be designated a protected resource world. Humans will be relocated to preservation zones comprising 20% of planetary surface area. Imperial corporations will manage the remaining territory for resource extraction. Dr. Gordon couldn't remain silent. You're talking about confining us to reservations while you strip mine our planet. A crude description, but essentially correct, said Zartul. This is standard Imperial procedure. Resistance is unnecessary and ultimately futile. The Empire spans 8,000 worlds. President Bailey stood up. We need to consult with our full government. Of course, the alien said. You have 3 Earth days to prepare for transition. We will begin landing settlement ships at that time. As they returned to Earth, Carter, Bailey, and Gordon were silent until they were sure they couldn't be monitored. They're not here for diplomacy, Carter said. This is an invasion with paperwork. Can we fight them? President Bailey asked. Their technology is far beyond ours, Dr. Gordon said. But I noticed something. They're overconfident. They didn't even scan our station for weapons or surveillance. Admiral Carter nodded. They've done this before to worlds like ours. They don't expect real resistance. The emergency council meeting lasted through the night. In the end, the vote was unanimous. Earth would not surrender. The next day, Admiral Carter and Dr. Gordon returned to the space station alone. High Emissary Zartul seemed amused by their quick return. "You have accepted our terms?" Admiral Carter stood tall. "I'll be brief, Emissary. Earth is not for sale, lease, or colonization." "You misunderstand," Zartul said. "This is not a negotiation." "No," Carter replied firmly. "It isn't. Earth to Galactic Empire, access denied. You're not welcome here." The alien's eyes narrowed. "No primitive world has ever refused the Empire." "Then we're honored to be the first," Dr. Gordon said. As they turned to leave, Zartul called after them. "This defiance will cost your people dearly." Carter paused at the door. "That remains to be seen." Back on Earth, preparation for resistance had already begun. The Empire's response came within hours. 20 smaller ships moved into position around Earth, forming a perfect sphere of control. All satellite communications began to fail. Space stations reported jamming on all frequencies. No one could leave Earth and no messages could get out. "They've put us in a cage," Admiral Carter said as he watched the tactical display in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. Navy Commander Jack Wilson stood beside him. At 42, Jack had spent his career planning for wars that never happened. Now he faced an enemy no one had imagined. "Sir, they want us to panic," Jack said. "That's why they're showing off their technology. They expect us to give up." Carter nodded. "What do you suggest, Commander?" "Let's use what they don't see," Jack replied. "They're watching our active systems, but what about the junk?" Earth's orbit contained thousands of pieces of space debris, old satellites, spent rocket stages, even tools dropped by astronauts. Most were considered useless. But Jack saw an opportunity. "They won't monitor what they think is trash," he explained. "We can use the old equipment to build a hidden network." Admiral Carter gave immediate approval. Jack assembled a team including engineers Olivia Reyes and Paul Griffin. They worked in an abandoned missile silo, safe from Empire detection. "We can reprogram these old communication satellites," Olivia said, her hands moving quickly over the equipment. "They use frequencies no one has used in decades." Paul nodded. "And we can bounce signals between debris pieces. It won't be fast, but it will get messages through." While they worked, the Empire began landing small teams on Earth. They looked almost human except for their pale blue skin. They wore special suits that made them appear completely human. They approached governments with offers of assistance. FBI agent Nicole Harmon first noticed something strange when she interviewed a new State Department advisor. His fingerprints didn't match his file. When questioned, he easily overpowered 2 guards before Nicole shot him. His blood was dark purple. "They're infiltrating our governments," she reported to her superiors. "And they can look exactly like us." Nicole recruited tech specialist Ryan Lewis to help identify the infiltrators. He discovered that the aliens gave off a faint radiation signature that special equipment could detect. "They're targeting our leadership," Nicole told Admiral Carter when they met in a secure room. "They want to take over without a fight." Carter asked, "How many have you found?" 17 so far, she answered. "All in positions of growing influence." "Find them all," Carter ordered. "But keep it quiet. Let them think we don't know." Meanwhile, Dr. Lisa Gordon made a breakthrough. She had been studying the Empire's communications from her hidden lab. "Their technology is extremely advanced," she explained to Jack Wilson when he visited. "But it works on principles we've never explored. They use quantum frequencies that we considered useless background noise." Jack leaned forward. "Can we use that against them?" Lisa smiled for the first time in days. "Every system has weaknesses. Theirs ignores certain wavelengths because they consider them meaningless. But we could use those wavelengths to disrupt their systems." On the 60th day of the blockade, the Empire showed its frustration. Their main ship fired energy weapons at 3 unmanned orbital platforms, completely destroying them. Their message was broadcast on all Earth frequencies. This demonstration should clarify the consequences of continued defiance. High Emissary, Zartul announced. Your leaders hide the truth. We have destroyed only unoccupied structures. The next targets will not be empty. The world watched in fear. Some nations considered surrender. But in the hidden command center, Earth's resistance grew stronger. Jack Wilson's network now connected resistance cells worldwide. Using reprogrammed space junk, they could communicate without the Empire knowing. Nicole Harmon's team had identified over 40 alien infiltrators, and Lisa Gordon had developed prototype devices that could interfere with Empire technology. We need to test it, Lisa told Admiral Carter, holding up a small device. But it might alert them to what we know. Carter considered this. We need more than just defensive measures. We need to show them we can fight back. That's when Kelly Carter, the Admiral's daughter and a brilliant engineer, brought news from her research team. The Empire isn't just here for territorial expansion, she explained, showing data on a secure tablet. Earth's oceans contain trace elements they value highly, much more valuable than they admitted. How do you know this? Her father asked. We captured data from one of their scout ships, Kelly explained. Their miners are already preparing extraction points in deep ocean locations. Admiral Carter's face hardened. So it's not just conquest. It's theft on a planetary scale. As they spoke, a technician rushed in. Sir, we're detecting massive energy buildups from the Empire fleet. They appear to be preparing for a larger attack. Carter looked at the worried faces around him. It's time, he said. He picked up a secure phone and gave an order he had hoped to delay. Activate Project Guardian. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, in a facility few knew existed, Director Marcus. Boyd received the call. He turned to his team. Begin the awakening sequence, he ordered. Giant machines hidden for decades hummed to life. They had been built using technology from an alien crash site discovered in the 1950s. For years, Earth's best scientists had studied and reverse-engineered the technology while keeping it secret from the public. The Guardian network consisted of 12 satellites in hidden orbits and 20 ground-based stations. They contained defensive capabilities far beyond anything humanity had ever revealed. As the systems came online, something unexpected happened. The Guardian technology began connecting with ancient devices buried deep within Earth itself. Devices no human had placed there. They had been waiting, dormant for thousands of years, for someone to activate them. In orbit, Empire ships detected energy signatures they had not anticipated. Inside their command vessel, High Emissary Zartul received urgent reports. Impossible, he said, looking at the data. This world cannot have this technology. He opened a communication channel to Earth. What have you activated? He demanded. Admiral Carter responded calmly. Just some old defense systems. Is there a problem, Emissary? For the first time, Zartul seemed uncertain. Where did you get this technology? Carter allowed himself a small smile. It appears we're not as primitive as you thought. The resistance had begun. The Guardian system lit up the night sky with a soft blue glow. People around the world looked up in wonder. Some feared it was an Empire attack, but government announcements explained it was Earth's defense system activating. In the Antarctic facility, Director Marcus Boyd watched in amazement as system after system came online. The original 12 Guardian satellites had awakened 36 more that had been hidden in deep orbit. No one knew who had put them there. Sir, the systems are communicating with each other, a technician reported. They're forming a network, more advanced than anything we designed. Marcus nodded. The crash site technology was only part of something much bigger. We're just turning the key to a lock someone else built. In the command center, Admiral Carter received new reports every minute. The Empire ships had pulled back, creating distance between themselves and the Guardian network. They recognize the technology, Lisa Gordon said. Look at their reaction. They're afraid of it. Jack Wilson studied the tactical display. Whatever these Guardians are, the Empire knows about them. But how, and why were they already here on Earth? Before anyone could answer, alarm sounded. The main Empire ship was moving. It positioned itself above the Pacific Ocean and launched smaller craft toward the water. "What are they doing?" Admiral Carter asked. Kelly Carter checked her readings. "They're starting resource collection. The deep ocean minerals I mentioned, they're not waiting any longer. They're taking what they want." Carter's face hardened. "Activate the Guardian Defensive Protocol." Across Earth, the Guardian systems responded. Energy fields extended from the satellites, creating a shimmering barrier around the planet. When Empire mining ships touched the barrier, their engines failed. They drifted helplessly until their own fleet retrieved them. High Emissary Zartul sent an immediate message. "Your defensive measures violate Imperial law. Deactivate them, or face full military response." Admiral Carter didn't bother responding. Instead, he ordered the next phase of Earth's plan. In Nicole Harmon's FBI office, her team prepared to move against the infiltrators. They had identified 87 aliens in human disguise placed in governments around the world. "Move on all targets simultaneously," she ordered. "Don't give them time to warn each other." Within hours, the infiltrators were captured. Most surrendered. When confronted with the special detection devices Ryan Lewis had created, a few fought back and were killed. One, captured alive after a struggle, was brought to a secure facility for questioning. Nicole faced the alien across a table. With its disguise removed, its blue skin and large eyes made it look strange and threatening, but Nicole showed no fear. "Why is the Empire really here?" she asked. The alien remained silent. "We know about the ocean minerals," Nicole continued, "but that's not everything, is it? What makes Earth so special?" After a long pause, the alien spoke. "You don't even know what you're sitting on." At that moment, in orbit, the Empire lost patience. 20 warships moved into attack formation. Energy weapons powered up. Their message was short: surrender or be destroyed. In the Antarctic facility, Marcus Boyd received an alert. The Guardian systems were changing, evolving in response to the threat. New symbols appeared on the control screens, symbols no human had programmed. "It's like they're waking up," Marcus said to his team. "Whatever these systems are, they're doing more than we designed them to do." Admiral Carter gave the order. "Full defensive posture, prepare for attack." The Empire ships fired. Massive energy beams struck the Guardian shield. The shield absorbed the attacks, growing brighter with each hit. Then, something unexpected happened. The Guardian satellite sent energy pulses back toward the Empire ships, not attacking but disrupting their systems. Empire ships began losing power. Their weapons went offline. Communications failed. Several drifted out of formation, their engines dead. On the command ship, High Emissary Zartul watched in growing horror. "Impossible," he said. "This planet cannot have predecessor technology, they're animals." His second-in-command approached cautiously. "Emissary, we must consider retreat. If this is truly predecessor technology—" "No!" Zartul shouted. "The Empire does not retreat. Launch the ground forces, take the control centers. This resistance must end now." On Earth, Jack Wilson's network detected the new threat. Thousands of smaller craft were preparing to launch from the Empire ships. Invasion forces. "They're going to try a direct ground assault," Jack reported. "They're targeting major cities and military installations." Admiral Carter turned to Lisa Gordon. "Is your disruption technology ready?" Lisa nodded. "The prototypes work. The Empire ships use quantum frequencies our devices can jam, but we only have 50 units ready." "Deploy them to critical locations," Carter ordered. "Focus on government and military centers." As the invasion began, Empire landing craft entered Earth's atmosphere. They expected to find primitive defenses. Instead, they encountered Guardian fields that disabled their technology. Landing craft crashed. Those that made it through found their weapons useless against Lisa's jamming devices. In Washington, D.C., Nicole Harmon led a team defending the Capitol. When alien soldiers approached, their advanced weapons failed to fire. Human forces using conventional weapons drove them back. Similar scenes played out around the world. The Empire's technological advantage was neutralized. Their ground forces, never expecting to fight, retreated in disarray. In the captured aliens' holding cell, The interrogation continued. Nicole pressed harder. What did you mean we don't know what we're sitting on? The alien looked at her with a mixture of fear and respect. This planet was marked as prohibited territory thousands of years ago, by the ones the Empire still fears. Who? Nicole demanded. The predecessors, the alien said. The most advanced civilization the galaxy has ever known. They vanished 10,000 years ago, but their technology remains. Technology like your guardians. Nicole leaned forward. What does that have to do with humans? The alien's expression changed. You truly don't know? Examine your guardian technology. See who it responds to. Back at the Antarctic facility, Marcus Boyd made a startling discovery. The guardian systems respond differently to different people, he reported to Admiral Carter. They recognize human DNA, but some humans get stronger responses than others. Dr. I. Gordon analyzed the pattern. It's like the technology is looking for specific genetic markers. It recognizes certain humans as authorized users. In orbit, the Empire fleet regrouped. Their first assault had failed, but they prepared for a second attack. More ships arrived from deeper space. The Empire was committing more forces to subdue. Earth High Emissary Zartul received a secure transmission from the Imperial High Command. The message was simple. Confirm status of predecessor technology. If confirmed, destroy planet immediately. No traces can remain. Zartul's hand hovered over the control panel. The order was clear, but something held him back. If this truly was predecessor technology, could it even be destroyed? On Earth, as the Guardian systems continued to evolve, Admiral Carter realized a terrifying truth. This wasn't just a battle for Earth's freedom. It might be a battle for humanity's survival. Admiral Carter called an emergency meeting of Earth's defense leaders. Representatives from 20 nations gathered in the underground command center. The situation had grown more complex than anyone had imagined. The Empire is bringing in reinforcements, Jack Wilson reported. Our orbital sensors detect at least 30 new ships arriving in the outer solar system. Lisa Gordon displayed her latest findings on the main screen. We've analyzed data from the Guardian systems. They're not just defensive technology. They're scanning devices, communication networks, and something else we don't understand yet. Marcus Boyd added, the systems are responding to human interaction. When humans operate the controls, the technology becomes more effective. It's like the system recognizes us. Admiral Carter nodded. Which brings us to the most important question. What did the captured alien mean about predecessors, and what is our connection to them? Kelly Carter had been working with a team analyzing the Guardian technology. She stepped forward. We found something in the Guardian code. It contains genetic markers that match human DNA, but not exactly. It's looking for specific patterns. What kind of patterns? Her father asked. Ancient ones, Kelly replied. It's like the technology is searching for humans with genetic connections to whoever built it. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. Could humans be connected to an ancient advanced civilization, one that the mighty empire feared? The meeting was interrupted by an alert. On the main screen, they watched as Empire ships began a new approach. This time, they stayed beyond the range of the Guardian disruption fields. General William Scott of the Air Force pointed to the display. They're launching something, too small for our sensors to identify. Probes, Lisa suggested. They're testing our defenses. Thousands of tiny objects entered Earth's atmosphere. The Guardian system responded immediately, creating localized shields around major cities and military installations. But the objects weren't weapons. They were communication devices. Every screen on Earth suddenly displayed the same message from High Emissary Zartul. People of Earth, your leaders have endangered you by activating forbidden technology. The predecessor devices are unstable and will ultimately destroy your world. Surrender now and the Empire will save those who can be saved. They're trying to turn the public against us, Nicole Harmon said as she watched the broadcast. Admiral Carter's expression was grim. Because their weapons failed, they're trying psychological warfare. In cities around the world, some people began to protest. demanding the government surrender to save lives. Others stood firm, trusting their leaders. Earth was divided. In the Antarctic facility, Marcus Boyd made a breakthrough. The Guardian system has a data core we couldn't access before. It's opening now, responding to the increased threat. On his screen, strange symbols flowed. The computer translated them slowly. "It's a message," Marcus said in awe. "From the predecessors." "Admiral." Carter ordered the message sent to the command center. Everyone watched as the translation appeared. "To our descendants, if you access this message, you face the Empire. They seek what we hide. You are our children, modified to survive Earth's evolution while our civilization's legacy waits in sleep. The Guardians will recognize you. They will serve you. You are the rightful heirs." Lisa read the message twice. "We're not just natives of Earth. We're descendants of the predecessors, genetically modified to survive while their technology remained hidden." Jack Wilson shook his head in disbelief. "They hid their technology on Earth and changed themselves to look like primitive natives, the perfect hiding place from the Empire." "But why?" Kelly asked. "What were they hiding from?" Before anyone could answer, new alarms sounded. The Empire had launched its full attack. Hundreds of warships moved toward Earth. The Guardian system responded, extending its protective field to maximum strength. General Scott studied the tactical display. "They're concentrating firepower on specific points, trying to punch through our shields. Divert Guardian power to those locations," Admiral Carter ordered. The battle in space was unlike anything humans had imagined. Empire ships fired weapons that distorted space itself. The Guardian shields absorbed most impacts but began to weaken in some areas. On the ground, people watched the sky change colors as energy discharges lit up the atmosphere. Many prayed. Some prepared for the end. But Earth's defenders worked tirelessly. In her lab, Lisa Gordon made an important discovery. The Guardian technology isn't just responding to us. It's changing us. The systems are activating dormant parts of our DNA. "What does that mean?" Admiral Carter asked over the secure line. "It means we're becoming more like the predecessors," Lisa explained. "The technology is finishing what they started." In orbit, the Empire Fleet Commander, General Cravash, grew frustrated. "Our weapons should have broken through by now. What's happening?" His science officer replied nervously. "The Guardian field is adapting to our attacks. It's learning our patterns. This is beyond any predecessor technology we've encountered before." "Impossible," Cravash growled. "This is a primitive world." "Sir," the science officer hesitated. "What if it's not? What if this is the predecessor, homeworld?" The suggestion was so shocking that Cravash nearly struck the officer. But something about the theory explained the unexplainable. On Earth, the Guardian system continued to evolve. Those working directly with the technology reported strange experiences, increased intuition, faster learning, and even limited telepathic connections with each other. Jack Wilson's hidden communication network expanded beyond Earth orbit, tapping into ancient relay stations hidden in the asteroid belt. Suddenly, Earth could monitor Empire communications throughout the solar system. "They're arguing among themselves," Jack reported. "Some want to retreat immediately. Others want to destroy Earth completely." Admiral Carter knew they needed to push their advantage. "It's time to go on the offensive. Can we adapt our ships to use Guardian technology?" Kelly Carter had already been working on the problem. "We've modified 3 spacecraft with Guardian shields and disruption fields. They're ready for launch." "Who will pilot them?" Carter asked. Jack Wilson stepped forward. "I will lead the mission, sir." The 3 modified ships launched secretly from a hidden base in the Rockies. They carried Earth's best pilots armed with technology humans barely understood. Jack felt the weight of responsibility as his ship left the atmosphere. As they approached the Empire fleet, Jack activated the Guardian systems. His ship seemed to come alive around him, responding to his thoughts as much as his controls. "Remember," he told his pilots, "we're not trying to destroy them. We want to show them we can fight back, force them to negotiate." The Empire detected the approaching Earth ships too late. Jack's squadron slipped through their formation. Guardian fields disrupting Imperial systems as they passed. Empire ships lost weapons, engines, and communications in cascading failures. On the Imperial command ship, General Cravash watched in horror as 3 tiny Earth vessels crippled his fleet's most powerful warships. "Full retreat," he ordered. "Get us out of Guardian range." As the Empire ships pulled back, Earth celebrated its first victory. But Admiral Carter knew the war was far from over. The Empire would return with new tactics and greater numbers. In the Antarctic facility, Marcus Boyd continued to decipher the predecessor message. The final section was now translating, "Our greatest technologies lie buried beneath the surface, awaiting your awakening. When you are ready, you will find the star map. It will guide you to the worlds we once called home. Reclaim your inheritance, children of Earth." As Marcus read these words, deep beneath the oceans, ancient machines began to stir. Earth's awakening had only just begun. 3 weeks passed after Earth's first victory. The Empire fleet had withdrawn to the edge of the solar system, but everyone knew they would return. Earth used this time to prepare. Jack Wilson became a hero after leading the successful counterattack. Now he worked with engineers to modify more ships with Guardian technology. 20 vessels were being prepared in hidden bases around the world. The Guardian systems bond better with each pilot, Jack explained to Admiral Carter. "It's like they learn our thought patterns." Lisa Gordon confirmed this observation. The technology is symbiotic. It adapts to the user, and the user adapts to it. In the Antarctic facility, Marcus Boyd made the most important discovery yet. "We found a complete star map in the Guardian database," he reported. "It shows hundreds of worlds that were once part of the predecessor civilization." The map revealed a startling truth. The predecessors had controlled most of the galaxy before they disappeared. Many worlds now claimed by the Empire had once belonged to them. "This changes everything," Admiral Carter said. "We're not just defending Earth. We're reclaiming a legacy." High Emissary Zartul requested a direct communication with Earth's leaders. The signal came from his command ship, still orbiting Mars. "You have discovered your heritage," Zartul said without preamble. "Now you understand why the Empire fears you." President Susan Bailey responded, "We understand that you invaded a world that wasn't yours to take. The predecessors abandoned the galaxy 10,000 years ago," Zartul countered. "They left chaos. The Empire brought order. And now the predecessors' descendants have awakened," Admiral Carter added. "Which clearly terrifies you." Zartul's expression hardened. "The Imperial Council has made its final decision. You have 2 Earth days to surrender and disable all Guardian technology. After that, we will destroy this planet rather than allow predecessor technology to spread again." The transmission ended. Earth's leaders gathered to plan their response. "Can they actually destroy Earth?" President Bailey asked. General Scott nodded grimly. "Our intelligence suggests they have planet-killer weapons. The question is whether our Guardian shields can stop them." Kelly Carter had been quiet during the meeting, working calculations on her tablet. She finally spoke. "I think I know a way to end this without more fighting." Everyone turned to her. "The Empire fears the Guardian technology spreading," Kelly explained. "What if we showed them it already has?" Jack Wilson immediately understood. "The communication network, we can broadcast through it." Kelly nodded. "Not just to the Empire fleet, to the entire galaxy." The plan took shape quickly. Kelly and Ryan Lewis would hack into the Empire's main communication network using the ancient relay stations in the asteroid belt. They would broadcast evidence of Earth's heritage across the galaxy, including to worlds suffering under Imperial rule. "The Empire rules through fear and technology," Kelly said. "What happens when other worlds learn they might have predecessor heritage too? That they might awaken their own Guardian systems?" As Kelly and Ryan prepared the broadcast, the Empire fleet began moving toward Earth. Hundreds of ships formed attack position. Their planet-killer weapon, a massive cannon capable of cracking a world in half, began powering up. Admiral Carter deployed Earth's modified ships to protect key positions. The Guardian shield expanded to maximum power. Everyone knew this would be the final battle. In orbit, General Cravash received his orders from the Imperial High Command. "Destroy Earth immediately. No survivors. Cravash hesitated. Such an action would be unprecedented. The Empire conquered worlds, exploited them, but rarely destroyed them completely. Sir, his science officer said quietly, if the predecessors truly left their legacy on Earth, destroying the planet may trigger failsafes we cannot predict. Cravash knew this was true. The predecessors' technology was legendary for its self-preservation protocols. But orders were orders. Begin primary firing sequence, he commanded. Earth, Kelly, and Ryan completed their work. We're ready to broadcast, Kelly told her father. Admiral Carter gave the order. Do it now. The ancient relay stations activated, boosting Earth's signal across vast distances. The broadcast began with a simple message. To all worlds of the galaxy. We are Earth, homeworld of the predecessors. We have awakened. The signal carried data proving Earth's claims, genetic markers, Guardian technology schematics, and a simplified version of the star map showing former predecessor worlds. In the Empire fleet, communication systems suddenly carried Earth's broadcast to every ship. Crew members saw the evidence. Many recognized their own worlds on the star map. Across the galaxy, subjugated planets received the message. On hundreds of worlds, people learned they might be connected to the legendary predecessors. Hope spread, where the Empire had crushed it for centuries. General Cravash watched in horror as his own crew began questioning their mission. Continue the attack, he ordered. But the planet killer weapon shut down unexpectedly. His weapons officer reported, Sir, the firing systems are not responding. Something is interfering with the controls. On dozens of Empire ships, similar problems occurred. Systems failed. Some vessels lost power completely. High Emissary Zartul contacted Cravash in panic. What's happening to our fleet? It appears, Cravash said slowly, that some of our own ships have Guardian technology embedded in them, dormant until now. The revelation stunned Zartul. The predecessors hadn't just hidden on Earth. They had hidden their technology throughout the galaxy, even within the Empire's own ships. The Imperial Council sent an emergency order. All ships, withdraw immediately. Do not engage Earth forces. As the Empire fleet retreated, Earth celebrated. For the first time, humans looked to the stars not as a distant frontier, but as their birthright. 1 week later, ships from 5 other worlds arrived in Earth orbit. They came peacefully, seeking alliance with the predecessor homeworld. Each had awakened their own Guardian systems after receiving Earth's broadcast. Admiral Carter, Lisa Gordon, and Jack Wilson met with the representatives of these worlds on the space station Harmony. The visitors looked different from humans. Some had blue skin, others had 4 arms. One species had fur, but genetic testing confirmed they all shared predecessor DNA. The Empire is in chaos, the representative from Proxima Centauri reported. Many worlds are declaring independence. Some Imperial ships have even joined the rebellion after discovering they contain Guardian technology. Admiral Carter addressed the gathering. The predecessors left their legacy scattered across the galaxy, hiding from some ancient threat. Now we, their descendants, must unite to reclaim what was lost. Lisa Gordon added, and to prepare for whatever caused the predecessors to hide in the first place. As the meeting concluded, Jack Wilson delivered Earth's formal message to the retreating Imperial fleet. Earth to Galactic Empire. Access denied. You're not welcome here. And neither is your empire welcome on any world that chooses freedom. On Earth, Kelly Carter activated the complete star map discovered within the Guardian network. Hundreds of pinpoints of light appeared, showing worlds once part of the predecessor civilization, worlds now waiting for humanity's return. Marcus Boyd stood beside her, watching the map with wonder. The predecessors didn't disappear, he said. They transformed themselves and went into hiding. They became us. Kelly nodded. And now we're becoming them again. As Earth prepared to take its first steps beyond the solar system, the Guardian systems continued to awaken more dormant technology. Ancient ships rose from ocean depths. Hidden facilities opened in mountain ranges, Knowledge long forgotten became available again. Humanity stood on the threshold of a new era. They were no longer just inhabitants of Earth. They were the heirs of the stars, returning to reclaim their cosmic inheritance. The Empire had wanted Earth for its resources. Instead, they had awakened the descendants of the most powerful civilization the galaxy had ever known, a civilization that was now ready to return.